Talking Toilets with Alex Hope and William Smith.
Hello and welcome back to Talking Toilets. Welcome back. Thank fuck you're here. It's episode 7 of our lockdown specials, but it's not really even lockdown anymore, is it?
No, it's like it isn't lockdown, but it still is lockdown, but it's not lockdown. So it's the kind of the like
it's still after the event.
Yes, it's still after and during the event, even though nobody's talking about the event happening anymore.
Absolutely.
We changed the tense to make sure that we're still okay going to Primark, even though it's impossible to. I saw like at the queues of the people in Primark, there was not one person being 2 meters away from anyone.
No, but all the students who need to learn basic numeracy and literacy are struggling to comprehend whether they need to eat cornflakes at breakfast or how many cornflakes they should have. It's all gone haywire. We're not educating our kids, but you can buy horribly made clothing from a place that, you know, is the hub of the disease, as it were.
Yeah, and also, like, it was quite funny when they were almost justifying the fact that they're opening and had these huge amounts of people by going, like, especially the BBC, they were like, yeah, but they're giving out there's sanitizer for everyone, they're handing out face masks, and it's like, you know, but you're also now not telling the story about the doctors that are having to rewash their scrubs, or, yeah, they've got to wear one scrubs for 5 days. So this whole concept of PPE, that whole language and conversation, it's just stopped within certain news outlets. It's petered out because they're now trying to support the rebuilding up of our economy. But if we're all fucking dead, how's that going to help anybody?
Keep calm and carry on, Will.
Keep calm and carry on. Exactly. Well, that's exactly what I've been doing. So my toilet.
Nothing's gone wrong.
Nothing's gone wrong. Especially if you remain inside and you watch only BBC News, everything's completely fine because they just take people off the air if they say something controversial.
That's true. They send them on holiday.
Yeah. Much like the Jacob Rees-Mogg. They did that to him, didn't they?
That's very true.
Yeah.
He's been on a lovely golfing expedition for the last, half a year?
I think it was about 4 months ago that he said that awful thing about homosexuals, and they just went, stop it!
No, shush. That's enough of that. Get back to Bath. Let photographers take really comic photos of how much of a Victorian man you look like.
It's awful, isn't it?
He is a cross between any posh person in a Dickens novel and the penguin from Wallace and Gromit.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That is 100% it. And there's almost like, I feel every time I'm looking at him, I'm actually looking at a portrait. There's no humanity behind his eyes. I just see no. I don't think him and I have ever struggled with anything that's similar. Even, you know, that idea of when you say you run out of so you've gone to the toilet and you've accidentally not realised how much toilet paper's left and you've been cut short. I imagine for Jacob Rees-Mogg, he just rings a tiny little bell at the side and then out come several.
A nanny comes.
I was thinking about puppies. Out come loads of puppies.
No, you're probably right.
With loads of toilet paper on their paws. Anyway,
he's probably now wearing them as quite a nice coat as well.
Yeah. Oh God. Exactly. They don't stay puppies for long, do they? That's the issue with
Absolutely
them.
Not. No, they just get too cumbersome.
Cool, yeah. Right. So, I mean, other than being really hot, I'm kind of the same, really. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, mate. It's fucking sweltering out there. It's with intermittent splashes of rain, which I was told wasn't going to happen this summer. And I feel slightly cheated, you know, bracketed by all the death. I feel like the rain couldn't have come at a more inconvenient time. Yeah, so nothing's really changed this week. I have been back on the road for quite a while now, and I was training a friend this week, and we went up to Luton and Bedfordshire, and I used this toilet, which is the only sort of thing of note that's really happened to be in a toilet for the last 3 weeks, which I'm really excited to talk about. It was in a place in Linslade, which is near Leighton Buzzard, and it's little plumbers merchants, and they have a toilet that's outside, so you approach it from outside. It's a really nice sort of old-fashioned sort of shack that's part of their little warehouse courtyard bit, and it's quite a Victorian sort of old-fashioned arena
Lovely.
that it's in. And so the toilet suits, because the toilet is this, it's like a Thomas Crapper-esque kind of thing, but it's not Thomas Crapper. It was called, I've forgotten it, Charlotte. It was called a Charlotte toilet, and it was embossed in the bowl, the pan of the porcelain of the toilet, and it was also on the cistern, which was one of the ones that is at the top of the sort of room, and it comes with a chain that you pull and yank.
Big fan of the chain.
Exactly. I was looking forward to it, and it was a very quick, pleasurable number one, very swift, and it's such a good feeling to know that there are people who are welcoming you to use their facilities again. And I asked, because I really do have to ask now if I can use the toilet. Sometimes I'd sort of, leave it out if I knew that it was in other circumstances. I'd be like, cool, I'm going straight in. But this time I asked, he said yes, and I was presented with this almost sculpture to the toilet, this sort of pantheon of piss. And what I did was I did my swift piss, I yanked the chain, and I noticed poo in the bowl that wasn't mine, obviously. And I just thought, today's the day to be charitable. Today's the day to do what I say I usually do. So I got the brush, I gave it a little spin, I gave it a little tap.
Yep, dab, dab,
spin,
dab.
Spin, spin, dab, dab, dab.
Yep.
And I put it back, and then I went to yank the chain again. And Charlotte spit on my head.
Oh my God.
Charlotte spit on my head. And don't worry, not from the bowl, but from the cistern.
Oh, okay.
Charlotte, I don't know whether it was because it was filling up and like pulling the handle.
Probably sweating in the heat, I imagine.
It's probably sweating. Yeah.
Poor Charlotte.
The first time porcelain's ever sweated. But yeah, for some reason, my action of pulling the chain had caused part of the filling cistern to sort of erupt. And it landed like where I imagine my bald pate will be in a matter of years. But like I felt it sort of creep. It was enough to creep down the back of my head. It didn't quite reach my neck, but like I've washed my hair since today. You'll be glad to know. It was like being Frank Spencer. Do you know what I mean?
And was there a sink in the toilet?
Thankfully, yes. There was a sink, there was soap, but there was
shampoo? No shampoo for your
No
hair?
Shampoo. No, I didn't do an immediate blow dry. No. But I'd washed my hands and I left going, yeah, I need to check my confidence. Yeah.
I think for me, I find it fascinating that you've accelerated from being kind of, hyper conscious of using people's toilets and, not being able to, and, being virally and bacterially aware. And now suddenly you're cleaning up people's shits with random toilet brushes in toilets that are outside with old-fashioned cisterns that are above that are leaking. I find that your jump, not unbelievable, because I completely understand that you're kind of, your mental and physical steps. But I'm probably a year off that. I'm not gonna be doing anything like that for a very long time. If it's not my toilet brush, I know it sounds awful, but I almost wonder whether or not I would just get off loads of toilet roll and then
to use as a sort of temporary glove
and use it as a temporary glove to just like carefully move whatever remains I've left, so that I'm
that kind of makes me think if people struggle with like leaving the toilet in the state they do. So if there are basically confirmed an amount of people who don't either know how to use the toilet brush or refuse to use it via principle. So those that do actually use the toilet brush, how much of a range of misuse is there that goes on with it?
Yep.
How wrong is someone using the handle rather than the brush?
So I went to in the whole bubble scheme. So I went round somebody else who's isolating, and so I went round somebody else's house the other day. And they had one of the Donald Trump, the first time I'd seen one in real life, a Donald Trump toilet brush. I'd only ever seen them advertised.
Fantastic.
However,
I've never seen them. Describe one.
Bright yellow, vivid. The Brussels are bright yellow, and then just below the Brussels is Donald Trump, like a cartoon, like a stereotypical version of Donald Trump. If anything, probably looking slightly more human than in real life.
Humbled?
No, more maniacal. But the issue is that the brush was just lying on the floor. There was no like holder, which gave me kind of an immediate. I started to question why I was in this building in the first place, because who would treat their who would clean something up clean up shit with a brush and then just put the brush just openly on the floor. Do you know what I mean? You've got to be fucking mad to do that, haven't you?
Wait, I think I've misheard.
All right,
that's
fine.
what was going on.
Yeah, no, so I went to go to the toilet. The Donald Trump toilet brush is just lying down with a bit of remnants of shit just to the left of the toilet bowl. Just like, so you have to, so the handle's touching the floor, the bristle's touching the floor, the entire thing's touching the floor. There's no, like, I assume it's such a novelty that it doesn't come with a base holder.
I don't want to be insulting.
Yeah.
So I'm going to choose my words carefully. But this person you were visiting, have they effectively purchased something from a company to make a protest? And then therefore have they then covered their own house in shit?
I mean, yeah.
Have they done a dirty protest to something that is happening maybe 2,000 miles away? I don't know if it's effectual as much as maybe, assassination per se.
It just, for me, it was the reason that came into my head is when you talk about toilet brushes or when we discuss them, the plastic or whatever, the ceramic or whatever it's made of, the bowl that holds said brush. That gives me nightmares, that thing, because it's
I think there are some that are way too small, for sure.
Yeah, and there are ones that collect water, and then the ones that don't collect water and have holes. It's like, well, then who's cleaning the underneath it? Yeah, I know. It's just horrible.
What's the point?
So it's just I don't know.
It's a nightmare.
It is an absolute nightmare, and so it's kind of like I wonder whether or not the whole concept of the toilet brush should be like uninvented.
You've spitballed ideas to prevent the toilet brush even needing to be a thing.
Yeah,
but I don't know how. Therefore, are there people who walk around with them like sheathed that sort of inspect toilets?
Like the
like
toilet,
a gas man.
No, but also like the toilet. If you give like the toilet operator or the clerk or the person looking after them has it like a pirate sword, ready. And then I will trust that it's safe and clean. And
I think that gets 2 points. It not only solves sort of the disgust of walking into a toilet and seeing a disgusting toilet brush, but it also gives that power that we were sort of trying to project on toilet attendants. In the past few weeks, because if you treat them with like shit or you don't tip them enough, they've got effectively a shitty sword.
Yep.
That they could then use to sort of prod or harry you.
Like a cattle prod kind of thing.
Yeah, they'll harry you until you cough up. Basically.
I think we need to be wary of how much power we give anyone. You know what I mean? But if I'm going to defer huge amounts of power, then I'm probably happy to give it to the toilet attendant.
Yeah,
I trust the toilet attendant more than anyone else. Great, I love that bit of toilet. It's also those toilets really are my favourite kind of toilets, and I have always worried about the idea of being rained on from above.
Yeah,
but there's something that's just so like physical and powerful about the kind of the gravity as well as the flush of the water. They feel like very effective toilets. I feel
it's a reminder of our sort of ingenuity in a way. And our capability to literally put shit that's there vertically in the air. Yeah.
Great.
At least I think that's how that works.
Turns out it's just magic. So yeah, cool. I mean, this week, as I haven't used any other toilet except for the one with the Donald Trump toilet brush, which I kind of felt that was the only thing important about that. It wasn't very sterile. It wasn't a particularly nice toilet. I'm probably not going to go back. I've probably ruined the whole concept of the bubble because now it's just because of the toilet situation. It's weird, but that's the reality. And in kind of frustration about this, I wanted to look up. I think I typed into Google, why does nobody appreciate toilets anymore? And it came up with the World Toilet Organization, which is excellent. So at worldtoilet.org,
wow.
I'd really recommend somebody checking it out. And it was founded on Founded the 19th of November 2001, which is now the 19th of November is... It is, Alex. Do you know what it is?
The first time someone caught COVID?
No, it's that'd be great. It's World Toilet Day.
Oh, fantastic!
It's the 19th of November, and the reason why it's World Toilet Day is because it's the same day that the World Toilet Organization was founded.
I see. That makes sense.
And I'm not going to talk loads about what they're doing. I'm just going to say that, they're a really excellent organization. 1,000 children die every single day from diarrhea diseases due to poor sanitation. Clean and safe toilets help, keep girls in school as well, as it increases attendance rates across the world where people aren't, far too many girls and children. It focuses on girls that, I think because quite a lot of their work is to do in India and areas like that where there is a lack of sanitary products. But a lot of girls miss out on education because there aren't clean and safe and segregated toilets. So open defecation as well. So in 2015, so their goal was to halve the proportion of people living without sanitation. I know, for example, in Afghanistan, so this is a fact that, so 90% of people in Afghanistan own a TV, but only 7% of households have a flushing toilet.
Wow.
So it shows
the
priorities and the way that we go about, our defecation and where they feel their money needs to be spent. And also it also really useful. It says every $1 spent on water and sanitation generates $4.3 in return in the form of reduced healthcare costs.
Right, okay. Wow, so that is a good ratio.
It's a good ratio, but also one really fun thing is that they've opened up their own, let's have a look here, their own toilet college in India. It's literally called...
No way.
It's literally called the Toilet College.
The Toilet College.
The Toilet College. And basically they just get people and teach them about sanitation and how to, improve the lives of people and communities within India, and it's really successful.
So it's sort of large-scale plumbing... But not in terms of the actual nitty gritty of the plumbing, but what plumbing will do for certain sort of areas, the sanitation of certain areas.
Yeah,
that's amazing. One point on the Afghanistan thing.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is why my mind is really bad for business, but if you said that did you say 70% of people own a TV? 90% of people own a TV and only 7% of people own toilets. Now, by my calculation, just with that one piece of evidence about, what was it? One to four.
So $1 spent on sanitation and water effects. So you save $4.3 on healthcare costs.
You're so good at stats. But that ratio... If you were to advertise that on the 90% of TVs in Afghanistan, you'd make a killing when you sell the rest of the 99% toilet.
But then also you need to think about how do you target it. Does it make more sense to try to do a toilet TV? So
Yes, exactly. A toilet that looks like a TV or that has a TV on it. so you won't be able to stop watching. You can keep watching your favourite soaps.
Yeah.
Or whatever
it is, just to try to get flushing toilets in there. Anyway, yeah, wonderful. Yeah, so that's what I've been doing instead of being on other people's toilets.
Fair enough. I love that. I think it's a really wonderful thing. I can't believe we didn't know that yet. I mean, you probably knew well before me, but it is insane to think that still... in whatever we call this 21st century, I mean, we're going through a pandemic, but to think that there are so many people out there without, that sort of easy access to what we take so much for granted.
Yep.
It's just unbelievable. And it is really amazing to think that our lives are improved by a 1 to 4 ratio of every single sanitary product we have in the house.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Shall we move on to toilet news?
I think we should. Welcome to Toilet News. Toilet News. Hopefully by this stage you know what Toilet News is, and also by the name Toilet News you could probably decipher what it means.
No. Stop ruling out members of our audience that might not be able to do those things.
However, Toilet News is where we have a look and see what's new in the world of toilets. Alex, what have you got for us this week?
And this is the reason why I said don't rule out that demographic. Because the Daily Express...
Oh, no!
The Daily Express has made it very clear that they think that people need help in many stages in life. But perhaps something that, at least on the 14th of June of this year, 2020, seemed the most adamant information that they could have got out.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot going on in the world at the moment, is there?
Not a great deal. This is by Keisha Langton, and I'd just like to say thank you on behalf of the podcast, Keisha, and for anyone who missed the first. Maybe this is for people who've missed out on school this year. The article runs. I kind of don't want to tell you the title because it might spoil it.
Yeah, no, don't need to.
I'll read the tagline. Toilets at times get blocked, which can send you into a state of panic. But how can you unblock a toilet quickly and efficiently? So this is literally an article telling you how you unblock a toilet.
Fantastic.
It has several techniques, which range from the ill-advised to the absolutely why on earth would you try that? And it starts with the one that I think is verging on maybe a bit too far too soon.
Okay.
And just imagine your blockage lying there looking at you pitifully. And it says you should use hot water.
Ugh.
So you boil a kettle, pour the hot water into the bowl and leave it to sit there for about 3 minutes.
I get it. It's just I wouldn't want that steam. That steam's not fun.
Maybe you close the lid, like to prevent toilet plumes coming up. It then says you should flush your toilet and any blockage should hopefully have softened enough to be unblocked. Presumably by that
brewed enough, I think is the...
Yeah, brewed. Yeah. Just by that logic, would it like a Pepto-Bismol or something that you would put into your own body?
Well, I was thinking Coca-Cola.
Is that like human bleach?
Because it's like you see those videos of people having like a rusty engine and they put Coke on it and it's suddenly clean, or you've got like drains and things, or like... I mean, you do see ridiculous ones where somebody's like cut off their leg and then they put Coca-Cola on it and then suddenly it grows back. I mean, you don't, God knows, but Coca-Cola, if it can clean a drain, surely it can unblock a toilet.
Yeah. Okay, the second one is the only one that I kind of fully understand. And I just think that, at least the toilet that I have, it's not really ever been a problem. But this one is the one that we probably all know, and that's to use a plunger.
Yes. Yeah.
So that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I think also is pretty self-explanatory, but it's a cup that's on a stick. The one with a long stick is probably best, but I have seen one before that's like handheld, like a mini sort of thing, where you like sort of fist it as if you were sort of...
Yeah.
And then you just stick your hand in the toilet.
Yeah. Not a fan.
Not a fan. I need a big stick on my plunger. Right. It doesn't really add any sort of advice on that further than what you would understand a plunger to do. Yeah. Now, the next one, it takes the idea of sort of recipes even further, and that's to use baking soda and vinegar.
Oh.
Which I think is technically a bit like Pepto-Bismol. Yeah. Because it sort of does the same sort of acidic... kind of destruction of whatever is in there. But I wonder if that's taken by people who read this to sort of mean use a whole tub of baking soda and vinegar, which, as we all know, creates the effect of foam. Well, the advice that I'm giving so far reading through this is don't overdo it. You don't want it to overflow to solve the blockage, really, do you? I'm going to move on. The last two are fucking brilliant. Use a wire hanger or rod.
oh, God. Oh, that reminds me of something I really don't want to say.
All right, you're going to say it after this. Let me finish the awful ideas on this piece of news. So you use a wire coat hanger or a long piece of stiff wire can be bent into a wide curve and then pushed into the toilet. And then just a rod. I don't know what a rod is in this instance, whether it's a plutonium rod or a fishing rod. A fishing rod would probably look most normal.
Because I have unblocked toilets before in terms of like a business's toilet.
Yes.
And I've had to get the rods. I don't know how long they are, maybe 20 meters, but there's like 20 meter by meter rods, which are connected by like a thin bit of wire underneath.
Wait, hold on. 20 meters?
Yeah.
Is it like tent poles?
Exactly like a slightly stronger tent pole. And it's like if the whole business, if all of the toilets start flooding, like even slightly, then like you're not far off your whole venue being submerged in sewage. So you got to find your water point, and then you know.
Oh, so there is a basis of truth behind this.
There is a basis of truth, but well, you haven't finished, so keep going, and let's see whether or not.
What I imagined a rod to be was like a truncheon, like an old-fashioned like police truncheon, and just sort of prod
Just
it until it
poking
goes
it.
away. It says you should be sure to move it gently to prevent damage to your toilet bowl, and to ensure it does not get lodged. But it says you should flush gently, and I don't know what that means. Does that mean just sort of really slowly?
Yeah, I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Oh, okay, and the final one is to use water pressure, and that is
What, by flushing again? Just keep flushing. Just keep
stick a hose into the toilet bowl.
Oh my god.
And to fucking explode it from underneath. So basically, we've got a combination of implosion, explosion, suction, and
physical abuse.
Physical abuse. And hitting it with a fucking truncheon. It says water pressure should only be used as a last resort.
Okay.
As you will need a pressure washer and a pipe cleaning kit to connect to it. You should insert the hose into the toilet bowl, switch on the pressure washer, get covered in shit, and you will see the hose be pulled down the pipe until it reaches the blockage. And then, right at the very end, it says when to call a plumber. And
oh my god.
I also add when you're covered in shit. That's when you should call a plumber.
I would say that as soon as you're starting to look to invest in some poles that you like.
So like the ones you'd use at the build at the so I'm guessing that the things that are connected that you keep connecting as they go down, they're flexible. So they go up and down the U-bend and right, okay.
Yeah. But you don't put it down your toilet. You find like a sewage pipe that would be outside like a man cover underneath where your house is or something. And you'll be able to see like water, like it should be full if you're anyway.
Okay.
But my advice would be that if you flushed it and you've put like bleach and stuff down it, and you've even attempted putting Coca-Cola down there and nothing's worked, just contact a plumber. And also maybe look at your diet as well. That'd be another
100%. Yeah. 100%. Consult the Bristol stool chart.
Yes, absolutely. Very useful
sure.
piece of non-information there. So my article this week comes from space.com. I have to say a website that I've never been on before. And this was posted yesterday. It says the International Space Station is getting a new toilet this year.
Oh, wow.
Hooray. Now, like, the concept of a space toilet is quite fascinating, and there are quite a few contradictions in this article, which is the reason why I'm bringing it up, because it mentions that they're trying to advance away. Like, so when I think it's in 2024 or something, like we're going to be sending people to Mars for some bizarre, very expensive, unknown reason. So we're going to be sending them to Mars, but they don't want to like put our unnecessary microbes out into space, which is conscientious to the universe.
It is, rather.
Considering every time these spaceships take off, they just kind of dismantle and litter space anyway. They're happy littering our atmosphere with that, but they're not happy littering the rest of it, which is interesting. But it says here, so they're trying to find ways to condense down our shit, dry it out so all the microbes go, and then reuse the water, because our poo, if you collect up all of our poo and piss, 75% of it's going to be water, if not even more of that. Which is an interesting idea, but it does say here.
I'd heard tell of that before.
Had you?
Yeah.
But it says here that every other expedition, when they've landed on the moon, they bag up their shit and leave it on the moon.
Bring it home. Oh, do they?
No, they bag up their shit and they leave it on the moon.
Wow.
They said in the idea of not wanting to put our microbes, so they don't let it. I don't know whether it could biodegrade. I can't imagine that. I think it's probably too cold and not enough oxygen out there for it to biodegrade. It would just sit there, wouldn't it? So I don't know. It also says here that because it's it says it has a fancier name, of course, and this is what I mean, fancier name for a toilet. They call their toilets universal waste management systems, which is pretty great. But I mean, the only other thing I liked about this article was that they were so. America have decided to copy the Russian version of a space toilet, which is where you hook yourself in, very similar to that of what would you call it?
A roller coaster.
Oh, exactly, like a roller coaster. Except you clip your feet in, you clip your shoulders in, and then you're able to have your poo in like in a microgravity situation. Where apparently, so I read this detailed review of space toiletry system. But to be fair, this review was done in 1990, but it was the last time there was a substantial review done of American shuttle toilets, and it was done by a female.
I've read them all, by the way, and they're all fantastic.
Okay, good. Well, it was done by a female who says it's insensitive and it's impossible to align yourself onto the seat because it's designed for men, and when you're having to position certain things, I assume she means things as well as toilet paper. It becomes almost impossible. It's interesting that this is something that they're only just spending money to advance.
Also, now, I'd love to get an astronaut or a cosmonaut on to talk about the process.
Yeah, why not?
Because I'm fascinated by it. But I have heard that your muscles react differently to zero gravity. But your muscles, I don't think your muscles are involved in any of your sphincter movements.
Do you not think it's the relaxing of them?
I think your muscles, your pelvic floor definitely is a muscle and has something to do with it. But it is a series, like your guts are effectively a series of sphincters that open and close without any nerves or any sort of, like, you don't do it with your brain. It's just sort of the gas and the sort of, again, I was about to say... I'm so uneducated on this. That's why I started with, I'd like to find out if there's any sort of scientific basis of how it moves through.
Because I feel like it would be the opposite. We'd have loads of tiny muscle structures going all along. You know, like you say, you got your pelvic floor, just to kind of, you know, I don't know.
But doesn't that insinuate that you can train them?
Yes.
To a certain degree, that you might be able to fire shit out of your arse at a significant speed?
Well, in the same way that I can only throw a ball so fast, no matter how much I train my arm to throw the ball.
Yes, but also, like the only thing that really determines how fast things come out of your bum is like the gassy build-ups behind them, really, isn't it?
I don't know.
That's the longest silence that I think we've had on the podcast so far. I think it's completely founded in honesty.
So I think next week we need to have a segment for
you're writing this down
for anatomy. I am writing this down. The anatomy of the poo.
The gut of the poo.
Of the poo.
The anatomy of a poo. I'm just imagining a chart with a long pole and just a poo on the board.
Just to go back on the idea of the fact that, you know, on all the Apollo missions, they bagged up their feces and just left it on the moon. There is also a really good picture on space.com. I'll put up all these photos because there are some really good ones.
Do.
Because there's a good one of the Russian toilet, which is like the roller coaster, which they're going to try to recreate. But there is a picture taken during the Apollo 17, which basically shows all of the crap that they left on the moon.
Okay, brilliant. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, like the littering side of our explorations, which is quite interesting. When they were suggesting that they were trying to leave nothing behind.
So presumably they don't jettison anything out into space because the solids will probably freeze, and the waters will probably freeze. You said that they put it on the moon, but with this new system, are they compressing the waste and then bringing that home? So is everything...
Yeah, so I think the idea, but again, this is so as soon as they realise that they can just leave that. I mean, we're humans, aren't we? Humans are we're viruses, basically. We just destroy everything we get our hands on. So I think if they find out that it makes more sense, because I mean, really, when I was thinking about it, I didn't actually massively mind the concept of them leaving their shit on the moon or leaving their shit
Yeah.
on Mars, just because of the the amount of money they're spending, the amount of how very particular you have to be with your kind of physics and your mathematics to be able to get into space anyway, or to get to the moon.
Yeah.
That you probably want to be traveling with as little weight as possible. Like if there's the chance that I could bring like 3 more books, or I have to carry my shit home with me, considering the mission's going to take I don't know how, like 3-4 years or whatever, I would rather have my literature than my books. And as a human, I would understand them leaving.
And you can offer that thought as an empathetic festival goer, can't you? Speaking of, I have ordered the pea balls.
Yeah!
So they are on their way.
Oh, how exciting.
And just to remind listeners that we're going to try these urinable sacks that turns your wee into biodegradable waste. And we're going to rate them on smell. We're going to rate them on ease of disposal.
Yeah.
I think, and just ease of use, I imagine.
Yeah, and also we will both. I promise. I don't know about Alex. I'm sure you do as well. But I promise to use it in a circumstance where there is no toilet nearby, and I'm desperate. That's the.
I promise I'm not going to use it in the van while I'm being filmed by the company.
That reminds me, by the way, I looked up. Do you remember last week, we talked about how much urine can a bladder hold? And it's like 500 milliliters.
Oh, is it?
So half a litre.
Right, okay. Which is basically a pint, isn't it?
Which is not just under a pint. I think a pint's like 560 something.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like a lot, which makes
me feel better about going when I go to the pub and how often I need to piss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Interesting.
Great. Welcome to Topic Toilet. So this is normally a section where we think about a category of toilet and explore it and talk about our past experiences. But we thought, we actually, as a podcast, we're not particularly informative. So we thought we'd decide.
We try our fucking best.
We do try our best. Yeah, but there's some things, I feel that there is a lot going on in the world of toilet, and sometimes it's good to be light-hearted and it's good to have a fun thing to listen to. But there is an incredible amount of content that there is out there in the world regarding toilets, and it'd be fun to explore it. So we're going to do a bit more of a factual topic toilet this week. I've kind of already used some of mine talking about the world toilet and talking about the Afghanistan. That wasn't a fact I just had off the top of my head. It was something I looked up.
Hey, come on now. I wouldn't put it past you.
But yeah, no. I mean, so the one that I was really amazed at, which I'm sure that you've got, is so how many litres of water do you think you waste flushing a toilet? Do you know this?
Well, presumably it's more than a 3-litre bottle, I imagine. I mean, you're looking at a cistern, that's probably about 2 3-litre bottles. So really? I don't know, 6, 9?
Okay. It's 26 litres.
26 bloody litres?
In every single flush.
Just
flushing the toilet accounts for 24% of all First World water use.
I suddenly feel that Charlotte spitting on me today was justified because that was the second flush.
Yeah, exactly.
She was probably gasping.
It's a huge. When people talk to me about kind of like trying to save on water content. It's great. We should, because it's something that there is a limited supply of it. And the first thing I always respond with is that we do shit into clean drinking water, because before it goes into your bowl, it's the same bloody water that's coming out of your taps.
Very true.
It's 26 litres. There's also another fact that I thought, to me, linked to this, and it's that the White House in Washington has 35 bathrooms. Okay, and do you remember when Donald Trump came up saying that people were flushing the toilet too often?
He did, yeah.
He said people were flushing the toilet 5 to 10 times a day, which is apparently the average is 4 to 5. So he's, as always with his facts, nearly right.
Right.
So but
have you calculated and worked out how much water the White House wastes every day?
It depends whether all 35 of those toilets are...
Let's just say they are. I mean,
Okay.
He eats a lot of burgers and drinks a lot of Diet Coke.
So if we say that all 35 toilets are in use, and we say that the average person who flushes the toilet 4 to 5 times, Donald Trump says it's 10, but let's stick with the facts here. which is the average person flushes it 5 times. So that would be 175 flushes. And then there are 26 litres of water in each flush. So that would mean if if there were 35 people in the White House using each of those individual toilets, every single day would be 4,550 litres of water.
Ooh, that's a couple of swimming pools, surely.
That's absolutely mad, isn't it?
That is incredible.
So I mean, like, it is useful to link because I mean, yet
all the water in the White House couldn't flush the biggest shit out of them all.
No, sadly not. No, I'm still convinced that he's got some form of dementia. He's just. I also really hope that he does take off his mask and turns out he's like a Keith Lemon type character. He's just some form of personality that just took it too far.
What would be the American equivalent, really? Is there an American equivalent? Like Carrot Top. Have you ever seen Carrot Top?
No, I haven't.
He's a prop-based comedian. Yeah, which I didn't know was a form of comedy until I watched Carrot Top. Well, that's something for your reading list. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Right, have you got any other ones from across the world?
Not that I felt were... My final one was something that I was going to use for toilet news because it was an article published literally 4 hours before we started recording, in the BBC, which is Chinese scientists have discovered that flushing can propel viral infections 3 feet into the air. So they discovered that 3 feet is the height that the plume can reach.
And I just love the fact that it's called a plume because it does add that
excellent.
Explosive, sort of dangerous bio-weaponry sort of element to it. And we do need to be afraid of our toilet plumes.
Yeah. And it does say here that the coronavirus is spread throughout airborne droplets, which we know, and people who are infected can also have traces of the virus in their feces. So
there we have it. That's the word. That is literally the God-given word. Close your toilet before you flush it. You don't want to be brushing your teeth with your toilet plume fallout.
I also liked that I just like the combination of words fecal oral transmission, which is just, it means
which is like watching Fox News.
It's just when viruses are spread by poor toilet hygiene, which is exactly like watching Fox News. Yeah. Great. So that's me. That's me. That's me pooing all of my toilet facts out there this week.
So I'm relying on a website that I've also never been to before, called onedio.co.
Wow.
This is by Travis Furman. It's 17 different bathroom cultures you probably didn't know from 17 countries, and a few of them are pretty simple. Like you've got the toilets in the floor in Japan and China. Yeah. Scotland has one, which I'm pretty dubious about. Scotland, I'll start with. If you get a knock on the door from a stranger needing to use your toilet, so that's your front door or your office door or whatever, it is sort of an appreciated custom to be allowed to do that. And it is included in some sort of Scottish sketch comedy. And it made me think of this Chewing the Fat, which is a famous Scottish sketch show, where a guy asks to use someone's toilet and he says, yeah, that's absolutely fine. And the guy runs in. You can see he's very desperate. And then he runs over to the toilet, sits down, closes the door in a hurry, sits down, and he's looking out while he's doing his poo. And there's basically the door is just glass. And you just see the guy who let him in put a chair down and sit down and get an apple out and just bite into the apple.
How wonderful.
I think it's fucking brilliant. So yeah, I think there is a basis of truth in that.
I am all for it as well.
Yeah, no, I'm completely all for it. But to people who are doing that willy-nilly, you've got to realise that, you have to make certain general sort of judgments on the doorstep in that moment as to whether that person really does need the toilet.
Yeah, if they're wearing a bandana.
Yeah. South Korea. Here we go. We're going thousands of miles away. So in South Korea, they have older ladies that clean up the bathrooms in public, called ajumas, and they'll start while you're still in there, apparently. I don't know whether that means it's your cubicle. I'm assuming, because that's not so different to this country where there are toilet cleaners cleaning the toilet while you use it.
No, but it just seems
a
bit strange that it specifies that they're old women, as if
Well, that's what it says, and there is a picture of them cleaning the toilet. I don't want to say that I'm not happy with the idea.
Okay.
I think I'd prefer to see someone mature enter my cubicle with cleaning materials than say someone my age also wearing a bandana.
I think I'd just be furious no matter who it is. I think if there was somebody young, I'd feel that my wrath of anger would be more susceptible. But if they're old, it'd be probably dealt with as confusion, I think. Did you not see me sitting on the toilet? Whoa! Weird.
Yeah, you missed a spot. Just lift your legs up for me, please. Okay, so the final one I'm going to go for is Sweden. Mm-hmm. Sweden uses the money that they collect in public toilets directly to upkeep and upgrade them.
That's great. Actually, sorry, to go back, I do actually have another fact, and it's on that exact point. So the first public toilet, I was trying to work this out when I was reading it, because it was, so the first public toilet in London was in 1851, and it was in Crystal Palace.
Really?
And the system for years was you pay a penny. So you pay a penny to go. And it's this really fine ground where you have to, I think, having people pay, if you pay for a toilet, the toilet and the service you're going to get is going to be better than that of a public toilet, just because, especially if we're going to keep being in these awful conservative governments who are looking after them. It's 50% of the public toilets. We have 50% less public toilets while in a conservative government than that of before they started their 10 years, which is awful.
Hitting you with all the facts today.
Yeah, but it's the 1p thing confused me because I thought a penny was quite a lot of money. And it said that in 1851, £100 was the equivalent of £12,934, which would then mean that if that's 10 and that's £1, then which would mean that it'd be like £129 is a penny.
Wow.
So how much but that can't be right. They can't.
Well, but they did have an aversion to anything that was called public being used by anyone who is like filthy and poor. But I mean, yeah, inflation is slightly confusing in that sense, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It would be a bit. What would be a modern equivalent of like using something for £129? It'd be basically like going to see Shania Twain, but at the back of the O2, which is a luxury, you know.
So that's going to be the currency for the toilet attendants is to have a Rose Z Shania Twain ticket.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Yeah, but I do feel that we should pay. However, I do also think there needs to be a system whereas if you don't have cash or you can't afford to pay, then you don't pay. So I think there should be I honestly believe it should be a system based on honesty where you say that, say for example, a toilet attendant, I don't know what their average working week is, but say it's 40 hours a week. And if they're in London, then they need to be on the London living wage. So say it's £10.75 an hour, or whatever it's going to be, or whatever it is. So that's how much they get paid. Then you have people paying for the toilet. So they come in and they pay their money for the toilet. And then however much money the toilet makes, and however much money it costs to build all the supplies and, keep the toilets up and running. And then if there's money left over, that gets paid to the employee. And then if there's not enough money, it's subsidised by the government, paying them enough wage of £10.75 an hour.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be an administrative way of making that work. That it can't,
For sure. But then you'd probably have to, pay the person first, wouldn't you?
No, but the person would get paid regardless. So if there wasn't enough, money to pay the £10.75 an hour, the government would pay it. Do you know what I mean? The government would have to pay that money. But I remember seeing that didn't Victoria Toilets, like in 2017 or something, it was like £3 million worth of £3 million profit was just Victoria Toilets, which is why there was which is why there was that big movement. I was really behind it on making them free. because
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
these people are not getting paid the London living wage. You're not supporting them, and the toilets
Absolutely
are
not.
crap.
And the toilets are dire. Yeah,
And they're
yeah,
crap,
yeah.
and you're making £3 million profit of this. Well done. I'm just going to keep jumping the barrier then. And if I see the attendant, I'll give them my quid.
If the government or National Rail or whoever looks after the toilets needs a decent marketing strategy, I will offer my services by suggesting that you market them as the way to see how the first ever public toilet was run and made. The antiquity that is displayed at Victoria's underground toilets is a sight to behold, and you should be extolling that fact and putting posters up. Come live the Victorian latrinal dream at Victoria Toilets.
Great, excellent.
Have you got any hopes for the future, Will?
Yes, I do, and it's not going to be a popular hope for the future, but my hope is that we respect the concept of people's lives, and as a result, we all retract back to the initial stages of lockdown, I feel. The thing is, I don't have all of the facts in front of me, and I don't turn the giant wheel of the economy. But equally, when I do look at the people that are doing that, I know it sounded very simple, but that job, they're giving out contracts to their wives. That they're not following the science. They didn't buy enough PPE. They're just awful. They're just terrible at their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which means I don't trust a single word they're saying.
Have you seen the film Groundhog Day? I'm guessing you probably have.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit like there might be an idea for a film where, from the point of worst disaster, so like maybe the highest death rate during lockdown, it's sort of like reversed. Do you see what I mean? So like we're going back the way to like the start of it, and then it's just going to keep mirroring one another until like we go in and out and in and out of the disease.
Yeah, but what I think changes is that we go in and out of the disease, because I think it's like 6.7% of the population have had the coronavirus, which shows that it still hasn't swept. There'll be areas in London it might be more 10, and other countries, areas it might be more like 4 to 6 or whatever. But it shows that it really hasn't taken a hold of us. Which is not a good thing. That's a scary thing, because it's because we could have an inevitable a second wave, and when we do, I imagine that we're so economically unstable and not ready to, and not prepared for it at all. Because if we weren't prepared the first time, there's no clear evidence or strategy plan for a second wave, despite everybody asking for it. So what will probably happen is more people will die, the NHS will be overrun, but the shops will remain open because at least people are spending money.
And as we head towards the inevitable sort of Christmas crazy period where things will be manic at the shops, at events, like things will start happening and people won't care as much because their leaders have said everything's going to be fine. It's just insane, and people don't trust the government, so I hope that not trusting it continues for a long period of time. And just the same, like care for others is like, the only thing you can really do. Yeah.
But still, 181 people died yesterday. It's in between 100 and 200 people are dying. Local councils are reporting that the R number is creeping up to 1. Many councils say that it is at 1. You've got Boris Johnson saying that he's
and we locked down at 3, didn't we?
Yeah. He's got Boris Johnson saying that he's against the racist thuggery, but he's not against racist bigotry within his own cabinet, and he's not willing to talk it down. You've got the BBC saying that.
He's hard.
Yeah, you got the BBC saying that some of the violent riots against the police were done by far-right groups, which is, again, just absolutely pathetic. So it's just everywhere. Nobody is valuing life, I feel. And it really is it's a horrible time to be in the UK.
It comes to that, doesn't it? It comes to just the idea of being charitable and thinking about the common good.
Yeah, and the only solace I have is that I didn't vote for any of it, and I'll continue to campaign against it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What about you? Do you have any hope for the future?
My hope for the future this week is that I get to see another play.
Oh,
I know, it's really bad. I was thinking about it today and just how much I miss needing
to pee at the theatre.
needing desperately, regretting drinking a sour beer, which I would never usually drink.
But because you're at the theatre, yeah.
Because I'm at the theatre, I just chose to go for something different. And at least this 4-hour Brecht with no interval is a welcome distraction. Yeah, I miss it. I miss it a lot.
I really do, yeah.
Having a friend of mine who's joined work, who is also in the theatre sort of world, and hearing his stories about, when he wasn't acting, he was sort of getting with the tech crews and all these places and building that sort of rapport. And even that doesn't matter. Like, there are so many parts of our industry that are sort of destroyed already and sort of flailing and just, not waving but drowning. Like, it's also really quite terrifying.
The other side of it is like the prospective students that were ready to jump into the industry, and those that were in their first and second years and etc. So it's kind of, even those auditioning, they need to. The one I thought there might be a positive outcome regarding all of these Zoom things and everything that people are doing, and it's that I think I was on BBC Radio 4 years ago talking about how ridiculous it is that drama schools ask you to pay an X amount of money to audition for them. As I think RADA's had gone up to £90 and things like that, and it was just.
I think Lambda have abolished it.
Well, it's just a huge money-making process, but you could eliminate it by doing like a video. So if you can't afford to, you can come in, but do your first round audition, do 2 speeches to a camera, send them off, and then after that, if you get to the next stage, because I remember their argument was, but if you get to the final stage, you've gone through 10 stages, and then you've had 10 hours worth of tutoring for £50. That's really good value, and it's like, well, yeah, but what about the 300,000 people that you've said no to?
Yeah. Anyway. It just echoes, the sense that the American industry had to sort of deal with the amount of, talent that's out there by making things slightly easier for them and getting stuff in online and just seeing it all, not having to book a room, travel, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. But theatre, come back, please.
Theatre come back. I would very much love that as well. And also, I cannot wait to be sat in a cinema and be really pissed off that somebody's eating popcorn. Like, I'm just.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I really.
Are you a chair kicker? You're definitely a chair kicker, aren't you?
No, I'm not. I don't know what I am. I think I'm like a tapper.
You're a tapper.
I'm a tapper, if anything. Yeah.
I'm more meant like if someone is eating popcorn, do you kick their chair or do you go?
No, I'm more of a stand up and move, or tap them on the shoulder and ask them to eat at dinner time. This is watch time.
As long as you're not furiously,
It's the same time. It's the same period of time when it's like when for some reason when people go on a train, they feel it's necessary to eat crisps. I don't understand it. It's just you sit down on the train, and you will just hear a packet of crisps open, or someone will sit near you and they'll eat crisps, and it's just free. Gets on my nerves. But anyway, that's Will's irritation for the day. Great, excellent. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for putting up for us. Yeah, it's just great. I love doing it. Love putting it out there. And we're really glad to get the response that we're getting.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Instagram, Twitter, Talking Toilets _.
Facebook is Talking Tea Podcast. The T does still stand for toilets, of course, but Facebook's are so,
Yeah, they are.
What can you do? And if you need to email us, we're at talkingtoiletspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, it'd be really good if someone could email us and give us some stories. That'd be great. Have a lovely week.
Yeah, enjoy yourselves.
Be safe out there. Remember that, you do need to use the toilet. It's a human right and a human necessity.
Absolutely.
And plan your toilet trips ahead if you're travelling out and you're boozing where you shouldn't.
Definitely. And don't go to Primark if you don't need to.
Yeah, please don't. All the best and keep flushing.
Keep flushing.